Alright, delegates, now let's talk about points. If you remember from the last video, points are a series, 5 to be specific, things you can do which interrupt the flow of debate and apply to matters which are immediate and urgent. So let's see what these 5 points are. The first one is the point of personal privilege. And this is for anything which is preventing you from participating in debate. So normally, this is most often used for if you can't hear the speaker. And so for that reason, it's one of two points which are on this list which can actually interrupt someone who's already speaking, a speaker's list speaker, or an opening statement, something along those lines. So, to note for people who have other debate backgrounds, point of privilege is not the go to the bathroom point. You don't have to interrupt debate to do that. You can sign. There's a sign out sheet usually in your committees. This is if something is preventing your participation. You might use this maybe in a less urgent setting for something like if you weren't given a printed out resolution, something along those lines. But yeah, this is really up to your discretion. If something is harming your ability to participate, you can say point of personal privilege, and it is urgent. Second is the point of parliamentary inquiry. Again, unlike what people might have previous background in debate for, this is not meant to ask your speaker a question. This is asking the chair a question, and this is about parliamentary procedure. So a case this could be used in is, say someone's just finished speaking, because we can't interrupt people with the point of parliamentary inquiry. But say you were writing a resolution and you were unsure of how many people you needed in order to, how many signatories you needed in order to have your amendment considered. If you weren't sure about that, you could ask a point of parliamentary inquiry. And again, just for all of these, in terms of the word choice of how you say it, you literally just say the thing. You want to say it loudly and clearly, especially with the point. But you'd say point of parliamentary inquiry. Then you can say, how many signatories do I need for my amendment? Then there's point of order, which is quite similar to point of parliamentary inquiry, but it's more challenging, confrontational. Think about it in one of those ways. So point of order is if there was a choice by the chair about procedures. So, for example, deciding someone wasn't on the speaker's list when you think they were called, voting a certain vocal vote of yes or no, or often things like saying that a motion is not in order. So saying the motion to extend debate is not in order. So the point of order is to ask them why they made such a choice, and then the chair explains themselves. There's a more enforceable way of doing this as a delegate called appealing the decision of your chair, but that's something we'll talk about when we get into procedural motions. This is simply asking the question. It doesn't require the chair to make a new choice based off of it. Next is the point of information. And an important thing to caution with the last two things we're going to bring up here, the point of information and the right of reply, is that these are not speeches, right? The point of information, the points allow you to interrupt, but it cannot be and because of that, it cannot be a venue for you to be giving minute-long speeches. These are quick statements. Usually they shouldn't be more than a sentence or two. But a point of information is if someone who spoke before you said a fact which you think is incorrect. This isn't about opinions. This is they got a GDP figure wrong, or they said that they said a fact about climate change or the economy, which is not true, and you have to simply correct that statement. Then there's right of reply, which is a little bit more, which can have a little bit more of opinions, and this is used if a country mentions yours by name in a negative connotation. So if a speaker said, Mongolia doesn't really know what to do about climate change, then I, as the representative of Mongolia, have a right of reply, which I can use once their speech is over. I can't be doing it in the middle of their speech. Um, so again, this will be short, and this will be a way to just set the record straight. Now, because these can take up time, um, these are often not called upon or put in order by the chair, and they're generally discouraged. So chairs will go through great lengths to remind you not to mention another country by name, so to avoid rights of reply, and this can be avoided pretty easily. So as long as essentially you're not saying that country by name, you won't fall victim to the right of reply. So these are the 5 points. I hope this video was useful. In the next video, we're going to talk about substantive motions and resolution.